From a Filipino broadcaster who became a senator to a 22-year-old YouTuber who earned a place in Brazil's Congress, these are some of the YouTubers that became political leaders. Starting with Matthew Patrick, who we all know as matpat. After his retirement in 2024, he began working on something that would help creators everywhere. In June 2025, he helped launch the Bipartisan Congressional Creators Caucus. Its goal is to give YouTubers, streamers, and other online professionals a real voice when governments make discussions about how the internet works.
Creators are some of the first people, the first businesses to actually have to confront these issues head first on a daily basis. And it's our hope through this Creator Caucus and through the conversations that it's going to inspire that we can help educate legislators on these fast-moving, ever-evolving issues so that legislation is timely and relevant.
For years, major decisions about online platforms like copyright laws, ad rules, and how algorithms handle content were made without input from the people who actually rely on those systems for their income. Now, matpat is one of the few creators actively involved in these discussions, working with tech leaders and members of Congress to help shape how future laws will treat creators as legitimate professionals, not just entertainers. If he's successful, it could completely change gaming and online content creation. Creators could gain stronger legal protections for their work, fairer ad policies, and more consistent rules across platforms like YouTube and Twitch. It could also mean more government recognition of digital content as a real industry, something that might open doors for education, funding, and innovation in gaming, esports, and social media as a whole. Yet, what would happen if not just a comedian became a real political leader? Gnarr is an Icelandic comedian, actor, and YouTuber who, during Iceland's 2009 financial crisis, began making parody videos mocking how politicians handled the situation. He joked about forming his own party, one that was just as absurd and dishonest as the real ones, and called it the best party. And this, of course, gained a lot of traction. And suddenly, the fake party became something voters actually supported. By 2010, John's online campaign went viral in Iceland. And to everyone's surprise, the best party won the municipal election in Reykjavik. Gnarr became the city's mayor and led from 2010 to 2014.
The Reykjavik voters thought differently. Jón was the winner of the elections, and his best party is now the biggest political party in the city council with 6 out of 15 seats.
Once he became mayor, he used his platform to keep things open, fair, and even a little funny. He supported LGBTQ+ rights, pushed for more art and youth programs, and stayed away from the usual political drama and party fights. During this term, the city's finances started to recover, and its image became more open and creative. When he stepped down in 2014, he chose not to run again, saying the project had already made its point, that regular people, even entertainers and creators, could step into politics and lead in their own way. Is that why you didn't run for re-election? Is it a part of the whole concept? I wanted to show that you can, as a regular person, get involved directly in politics. In the beginning, everyone was somehow waiting for me to change. In my opinion, I have not changed. My personality has not changed. Which of course also applies to YouTube pranksters like Fidias Panayiotou, who somehow became a member of the European Parliament in 2024. But how did that even happen? He used his massive online audience to explain why he was running.
I believe in direct democracy. That's why I'm building an app so people can have directly a saying here in the European Parliament.
Ask for their support and promised that if he got elected, the people would be directly involved in every choice he made. And because of this approach, he did get elected. During his first weeks in office, one of the first things he did was to promote simple videos explaining his salary and travel allowance as a member of the European Parliament.
So let's start with my salary. I get 8,000 euros a month in my pocket, and in addition to that, every working day I come here in the parliament and sign, I get another 350 euros. which is a bit strange. Apart from that, I have
so regular people could see how politics actually worked. He also revealed that he had turned down around 400,000 euros in donations from private companies and wealthy supporters, saying he didn't want to owe favors or let money influence his decisions as a public official. His idea of letting people decide on major political decisions could change not just Europe, but maybe even the world, if it ever became a normal part of politics. And actually, Fidias isn't the only one to try something like that, because in Taiwan, a well-known YouTuber named Froggy became a Taipei city councilor after winning the 2018 election. From the start, he said he wanted to prove that a young candidate could win without relying on traditional campaign methods, so he ran his entire campaign online, using social media posts and short ads to reach voters directly. And it worked! Humor and creativity into politics, making it more approachable for young people. By early 2022, the Ministry of Interior officially recognized the group as Taiwan's 365th registered political party, known as Can't Stop This Party. They wanted to show that politics doesn't have to feel distant or boring if it's shared in a way people actually enjoy. Now going all the way to the Philippines, there's a well-known Filipino broadcaster who helps real people with real problems and shares their stories openly through his radio and YouTube channel. And that is Raffy Tulfo. Ordinary people go to his show to share their issues, whether it's unpaid wages, scams, or family disputes, and Tulfo steps in to help them resolve them live on air, often confronting people involved directly. That reputation is what eventually brought him into politics. When he ran for Senate in 2022, he already had massive public support. Surveys a week before Election Day showed him consistently near the top. And on May 18, 2022, he was officially proclaimed senator. Once in office, Tulfo focused on the same problems he had tackled on his show. As chair of the Senate Committee on Energy in 2022, he opened his hearings about recurring blackouts and rising power bills, a relatable problem for many Filipinos. He questioned energy officials about why electricity kept cutting out in some provinces and why prices remained high, demanding answers and pushing for long-term fixes. Later, he focused on overseas Filipino workers, Filipinos working abroad who often face scams, abuse, and unsafe job conditions. By 2025, he was chairing the Senate Committee on Migrant Workers, where he led hearings on trafficking cases, delayed returns of overseas workers, and funding gaps in the Department of Migrant Workers. But some people say his show sometimes goes too far, that it feels like people are being judged on camera before the courts even get involved, and that serious issues sometimes turn into entertainment. It's like they say, you might win in the court of law, but the court of public opinion is an entirely different beast. Supporters, on the other hand, say his style pushes officials to act faster and take responsibility when they normally wouldn't. And to this day, as senator, Tulfo is still active in broadcasting. Meanwhile, in Japan, there's an ongoing issue about public broadcasting fees, where households are legally required to pay NHK even if they rarely or never watch it. So Takashi Tachibana, a Japanese YouTuber and former NHK employee, used his channel to fight against what he called unfair broadcasting fees. For those who don't know, NHK is Japan's national public broadcaster, similar to the BBC in the UK or PBS in the US. Takashi's videos showed him actually confronting NHK collectors in person.
Done. Do you have any complaints about NHK? We are
not supposed to deal with you. Please go home. Oh.
Recording how they tried to charge people for TV fees, and this type of content blew up, especially among older viewers who were already frustrated with the system. By 2019, he founded his own political group called the NHK Party, centered entirely on destroying the NHK. That same year, he won a seat in Japan's House of Councillors through the national list system, where voters choose a party rather than an individual. As Takashi became more well-known, he pushed for NHK to lock its channels so only paying viewers could access them, and stop charging people who don't even watch the network. Later, he stepped down to run in a local by-election, passing his seat to another NHK party member. Even after leaving, his party continued to hold representation in parliament, thanks to the online community he built through his videos. But do you think a 22-year-old YouTuber can change the system? So Kim Kataguiri is a Brazilian YouTuber and political activist who got popular through the Free Brazil movement, a youth-led online group that campaigned against corruption and government waste. His viral videos and live streams during the 2013-2016 protests made him one of the most recognizable young voices in Brazilian politics. In 2018, at just 22 years old, he was elected to Brazil's Chamber of Deputies for São Paulo, becoming one of the youngest members in the country's history. And then he used social media to break down political issues, criticize government spending, and speak directly to younger voters who rarely watch traditional news. In Congress, Kim worked on bills related to digital policy and financial transparency. In 2025, he proposed new legislation to hold banks accountable for enabling illegal gambling operations, one of several measures that kept him active in economic reform debates. Kim continued to help shape the conversation on corruption and economic reform, using his audience to keep officials accountable.